Good morning, students. I am Dr. Srinivas, Assistant Professor in Department of Orthopedics. Today I will be discussing with you about blood supply to the head of the femur and avascular necrosis. This is the figure showing the blood supply to the head of the femur. Mainly it is supplied by three arteries, that is the medial femoral circumflex artery, the lateral femoral circumflex artery, and the artery through the ligamentum teres, which is a branch of the obturator artery. This is the normal head. When there is ischemia, it leads to necrosis of the bone, that is called as avascular necrosis of head of femur. You can note after the necrosis the shape has become deformed, it has collapsed. The contour of the femoral head has been lost. This is the diagrammatic view showing the blood supply to the head of the femur. You should write like this in the exam. As I told, the three main arteries are the medial femoral circumflex artery. This is the artery which gives the maximum supply to the maximum part of the head of the femur. Next is the lateral femoral circumflex artery. These two are branches of the profunda femoris artery. Third is the artery of ligamentum teres, which is a branch of the obturator artery. These three arteries, they form an extracapsular arterial ring at the base of the femoral neck. From this extracapsular plexus of vessels, the ascending cervical branches arise. These pierce the capsule and become intracapsular and run along the neck of the femur, and now they are called as retinacular arteries. These retinacular arteries form again one more ring form the subsynovial intra-articular ring. From this ring, epiphyseal arteries arise and supply the head of the femur. This image you can see the medial circumflex artery, lateral circumflex artery, they form the outer ring, extracapsular ring. Then the ascending cervical branches arise and they continue as the retinacular arteries. Then they form the intra-articular subsynovial ring. From these the epiphyseal arteries arise. When there is a fracture of the neck or head of the femur, the arteries are destroyed and the blood supply is hampered. Even if it is an incomplete fracture, the remaining portion, the vessels are obstructed and thus there is loss of blood supply to the head, and this gives rise to AVN. This is the arteriogram showing the blood supply to the neck and head of the femur. What is the definition of avascular necrosis? It is a condition in which the poor blood supply to an area of a bone leads to bone ischemia and death. It is also called as osteonecrosis or aseptic necrosis or avascular necrosis. What are the causes and risk factors? Fractures at the neck of the femur or other fractures, joint dislocations, these are a common cause of AVN. The non-traumatic causes idiopathic cause is the most common. Other causes are corticosteroid use, alcohol consumption, patients on renal dialysis, patients with sickle cell anemia, Gaucher's disease, Caisson's disease, and those who are on bisphosphonates. Bisphosphonates are peculiar in causing osteonecrosis of the mandible. And other causes of AVN are anti-cancer drugs, postpartum necrosis, etc. The common sites of AVN are head of the femur. This occurs when there is a fracture of neck of the femur or when there is posterior dislocation of the hip. The proximal pole of the scaphoid gets AVN due to fracture of the scaphoid. You have to note that the proximal parts are getting necrosed because the blood supply is from distal to proximal. Here also the same. Body of the talus undergoes AVN when there is fracture of neck of the talus. Here also the blood supply is retrograde, that is from distal to proximal. The various names. AVN of head of the femur is called as Perthes disease. This usually occurs in children. Perthes disease occurs in children. Then scaphoid bone AVN is called as Prisier's disease. Navicular bone, Kohler's disease. These various names are there. Many times it comes in MCQs in your entrance exams, in your PG entrance exams. So better to remember all of them, each one of them. AVN of capitulum is called Panner's disease. Kienbock's disease is AVN of lunate. Osgood-Schlatter's disease is AVN of tibial tuberosity. Calcaneum, Seaver's disease. Metatarsal head, Freiberg's disease. Ring epiphysis of the vertebra gives rise to Scheuermann's disease. The central bony nucleus of the vertebra gives rise to Kalb's disease. What are the consequences of this AVN? Once there is AVN, it deforms the bone, there is collapse, and this leads to secondary osteoarthritis. Because of the altered or abnormal biomechanics, the cartilage gets worn off fast. So, secondary osteoarthritis occurs even in young age group. If it occurs in elderly because of degenerative, it is called as primary osteoarthritis. Once this has set in, there will be a lot of pain in the joints and there will be limitation of joint movements. What is the pathophysiology of idiopathic AVN? Intravascular coagulation is the final common idiopathic pathway. This coagulation of the interosseous microcirculation gives rise to venous thrombosis, which in turn gives rise to retrograde arterial occlusion, which causes intraosseous hypertension, which leads to decreased blood flow to the femoral head, and this leads to ischemia or AVN of the femoral head. And the consequence of this would be a chondral fracture and collapse. Now coming to staging of AVN. Fickett's staging of AVN. Yes, staged it into 4 stages. Stage 1, here it looks normal in the X-ray. This can be detected only when you take an MRI scan. Stage 2, X-ray shows the necrosed part has a increased density. Stage 3, there will also be collapse, deformed head. Stage 4, even the acetabular side undergoes degeneration and osteoarthritis of the joint occurs. This is stage 4. What are the clinical features of AVN? I'll be telling about idiopathic AVN, that is non-traumatic AVN. Age is 30 to 50 years, more common in males. Presence of risk factors and the causes will be present, such as alcohol consumption, steroid abuse, and other things which I had discussed earlier. Patient will have pain and stiffness. Stiffness appears late, and this pain and discomfort keeps on increasing over time. That is, it is progressive in nature, and it is bilateral. It is involves in 75 to 80% of the cases there is bilateral involvement. Movements are restricted, especially abduction and internal rotation, and this restriction is aggravated in flexion, that is differential rotation. That means, suppose the abduction, normal abduction is 45 degrees. Suppose this patient has only 20 degrees of abduction, and this is in extension. Suppose he does the abduction in flexion, that time the amount of abduction, instead of 20 degrees, it will be only 10 to 15 degrees. That means the movements are aggravated in flexion. Even internal rotation, if from normal internal rotation is 30 degrees, in AVN it can be 20 degrees, and in flexion it becomes 15 degrees. So this is called differential rotation. So this is also called as sectoral sign. I hope you understood this. And coming to the investigations, X-rays in the early phase they are insensitive, that is, it does not detect many patients. Then X-ray findings would be sclerosis of the necrotic area seen as a dense opacity on the X-ray, presence of deformity, that is due to collapse of the necrotic bone, and presence of secondary osteoarthritis, which can be noted by diminished joint space, sclerosis, osteophytes, etc. Then double density appearance and crescent sign. Crescent sign I will tell you later when I am showing the X-ray. Then imaging by magnetic resonance, MRI imaging. This is the most sensitive test, most specific test, and this test helps in early detection of the cases. That is, even in the early phase of the disease can be detected. Bone scan or isotope bone scanning. This will show a cold area at the area of AVN because there is decreased uptake of the radioisotope. So it is seen as a cold area. In later stages it shows increased uptake. This you need not remember. This is the X-ray of a patient showing AVN. Can you see the AVN necrotic area, increased density sclerotic area? Which side is it? Correct, it's on the left side, that is the AVN. The right side is the normal hip. Here also, left side there is AVN. This is clear, you can make out. Left side there is AVN, lot of irregularity. Even the acetabular side is sclerotic. So this is with secondary osteoarthritis. Here on the left image you can see the AVN. On the right side you can see the crescent sign. Crescent sign is nothing but presence of subchondral fracture. Here you have to make out the fracture, that is the fracture, black thing, black line. This is the crescent sign. This is typically seen before collapse of the femoral head. This is the MRI picture showing the AVN area. This is also the AVN area. AVN of the scaphoid. The arrow mark is showing the AVN of the proximal pole of the scaphoid. The distal scaphoid is normal. It shows a fracture in between the two proximal and distal parts of the scaphoid. What is the treatment for AVN? Delayed weight bearing. The patient should be told not to bear weight, and it has to be delayed until there is full healing of the AVN. This is to prevent the collapse. And activity changes, that is, patient should not use the stairs, he should not do running or walk for a long distances. Patient has to use crutches to relieve the load on the head of the femur. This will help to relieve the pain and it slows the progression of the disease. In the medical line of treatment, bisphosphonates can be given. This will increase the density of the bone and prevents collapse. This decreases the resorption of bone. Surgical treatment. In the early stages, core decompression has I will describe it later, and next will be the revascularization procedure. Here, vascularized bone graft using the fibula can be inserted into the necrotic area and it will help in the growth of new blood vessels. Other surgical treatment is the intertrochanteric rotational osteotomy. So, an intertrochanteric osteotomy is done and the head of the femur is rotated so that the area of the necrotic bone which was in the load bearing area, it will come to the non-weight bearing area, and the normal bone will come to the load bearing area. That is because of the rotation. So this will help in reduction of pain. Another procedure is the muscle pedicle bone grafting. Here part of the muscle with the vascular pedicle and part of the bone, they are taken and inserted to the AVN area, and this will help in restoring the blood supply. Example is the Bakshis procedure, where he uses tensor fascia lata as the muscle pedicle bone. Other treatment is excision of the avascularized segment. This is rarely done. Another is after the excision, it has to be replaced by the prosthesis. This is also a less common procedure because the best procedure is the total joint replacement. Here we are excising the head of the femur and replacing it by a prosthesis, and also the acetabular side also is being replaced. Acetabular cup is applied, that is acetabular component and femoral component, both are replaced. So this is called as total joint replacement. Arthrodesis is rarely done. This is the salvage procedure. When the other treatments have failed, then the last option that will be left is the arthrodesis. That is also rarely done. This figure is illustrating the core decompression. With the help of a drill bit, a tunnel is drilled from the lateral end into the head of the femur. Like that, multiple drills are done to decompress the necrosed area, and in these drill holes, new blood vessels and new bone gets formed, and the bone becomes strong, and it does not allow collapse and further progression of the disease. This is the normal hip. Here the head of the femur is collapsed and surgery is done where the head of the femur is removed and it is replaced with prosthesis. Here you can see the femoral component as well as the acetabular component. This is total hip replacement. This is the X-ray image of the total hip replacement. Don't think only the femoral component is present. Even the acetabular component is also present because it is made up of polyethylene. It is transparent. Here you can see a liner of the acetabular component, that is radio opaque, which an halo-like thing around the head of the femur. That is the acetabular component. So this is the X-ray image of total hip replacement. Okay, that is the end of the discussion today. Please prepare for these questions. Tomorrow we will be discussing, there will be a question and answer session, and any doubts you have, you can get them cleared tomorrow. Okay, thank you everybody.